Hi guys, it's Mimberly and welcome back to the channel. We've not long just come off of an absolutely hilarious stream where we were testing my new capture card. So as you can see by my visuals here, this is crispy. This is so much more crispy than the last one and the last method of us doing it. Plus, it was actually a lot cheaper than I expected it to be because my dad, Papa Mim, bought me a capture card for Christmas and we finally have managed to get it set up and working, and it is working really well. So without further ado, I was advised to read the last Rafayel Anecdote before going into his branch story, which we'll be uploading in a couple of hours, if not basically straight away. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, let's see how long this one is going to be then. Chapter 1, Cliffhanger. Maverick finally arrives at the beach. The Siren who deceived him sits on the rocks. She turns around, smiling amidst the fragmented waves. His bloodline that spanned 100 years has met its end, its family crest stained with the blood of loved ones. The Siren is responsible. He cherished her, yet she dug out their hearts with her own hands. He wades through the shallow water and climbs onto the rocks. His hands are marred with scars. These bloody hands had once cradled the girl's face, gently caressing her exquisitely sculptured features. But her love is a web meticulously woven with lies. The seawater met Maverick's close as he slowly opens his mouth, singing a melodious love song to his former lover. It is the song she once taught him, a siren's ballad. His voice fluctuates from deep below the waves to soaring high from above the skies, from sunset to moonrise, from high tide to low tide. He sings with such passion that even the Siren is captivated by his enchanting voice. Step by step, he approaches her, caressing the bloodstains on her face that have yet to be washed away. He embraces her, whispering tenderly in her ear as he reveals the hidden danger concealed in his sleeve. He plunges it into her heart when the song reaches its climax. Crimson curtains descend like a cascade of blood, the lingering echoes of the ballad resonating within the vast opera house. On stage, the man purveying Maverick gracefully bows, his dim eyes hidden behind a mask. Only then does the audience awaken from the enchanting melody, erupting into thunderous applause. He will surely be the rising star of the opera house, a prodigy. I've already come up with the headline. Let's call it Resurgence of the Siren's Voice, Royal Opera House 10th Anniversary Performance. Just as everyone showers him with endless praise, a piercing scream seems to shatter the glass dome of the building, like claws tearing through a magnificent robe. Mr. Fallen he's dead, eh? Behind the curtain, Rafayel leans against the backstage door, shutting out the cacophony. He closes his eyes and takes a few deep breaths. Finally, he can be himself. A searing pain throbs in his throat, pulsating in tandem with his heartbeat, rapidly stimulating his nerves. As he touches Adam's apple, he pulls out a new tie from his leather briefcase, the smooth satin entwined between his fingers. The cool texture gradually envelops his neck. It's like sheathing a blade. The stage is adorned with a velvet carpet symbolizing the sea. His leather shoes step on it, absorbing all the background noise. This performance is far from over. Attention please, non-essential personnel, please evacuate immediately. As a renowned private detective from a prominent family-owned local business, Lewis also received an invitation to tonight's performance and is now pushing against the frantic crowd. He manages to calm himself and sneaks through the stage entrance. He hides behind the stage lights behind the curtain, observing the situation. In the center of the VIP box, the deceased is now surrounded by barricade tape, still maintaining the seated position from when he watched the show. With his smile, he looks like the sculpture of a murder victim. Lewis senses something breeze by him. Someone is walking on the stage behind the curtain. He pulls back the curtain, but he only catches a glimpse of a person lowering the brim of their hat, disappearing through the exit. Shit. Okay. In the heart of Verona, Rafayel pushes open the cafe door. Before the tingling of the wind chimes fades, he heads straight to an empty table and takes a seat. A few schoolgirls dressed in uniform sit by the window. You can always get the hottest gossip from girls around that age. Have you heard about what happened when they performed Siren's voice? A person enchanted by the Siren's ballet will ultimately die with a smile. Mr. Fallon had no external injuries or signs of poisoning. The police haven't found any clues. Maybe that opera singer really is the god of the sea. He took his revenge. I heard his name is Mo. Raphael scrolls through the news on his phone. It overfloods reports about the performance of Mr. Fallon's unexpected death. As if not finding the news he wanted to see, he returns to the home screen. Raphael sips on his Americano. By the time the cup is half empty, he hears high heels clank against the floor, accompanied by the wind chimes. He doesn't look up. You're late. Again. Talia takes off her scarf and sits across from him. Be nice to your aunt. I rushed over as soon as the performance ended. Do I have to buy you a drink? Talia nods as though it's a given. One velvet latte. Thanks. Seeing Rafayel remain unmoving, she taps the newspaper on the table a few times. I'm not a cheap voice teacher, you know. Rafayel turns around and orders the latte. He's about to order it to Talia when his hand pauses. The stuff. Did you bring it? It's in my bag. She tries to take the drink, but Rafayel pulls it back. With no other choice, Talia takes out a stack of documents from her bag and pushes them to the center of the table. Only then does Rafayel put down the latte. He begins flipping through the pages. Well, aren't you grumpy? Talia drinks the latte and watches Rafayel intently read the documents. After hesitating for a moment, waiting to fill the silence, she said, I watched your performance that day too. Rafayel still doesn't look up. Yeah. Haven't you gotten used to Verona yet? It doesn't matter. I'm just here for now. His expression remains unfazed, but Talia notices him jotting down names with an intensity that makes his pen nearly pierce the paper. She wants to say more, yet struggles to find the right words. After that instant in Lemuria, Rafayel changed. Talia felt that she could no longer recognize him. If the Rafayel of the past was a blazing flame, then the Rafayel now resembled a reef battered by relentless waves, outwardly cold and hard, yet riddled with cracks, vulnerable to crumbling from the next wave. Lost in thought, Talia realizes Rafayel has already stowed the documents away. He's putting on his suit jacket and getting ready to leave. She quickly grabs his wrist. Rafayel turns around. You got other leads? No, Talia says, shaking her head. There is an international art expedition in Verona next week. Rafayel is silent. She continues, I remember you used to like painting. I thought you might be interested. Rafayel remains quiet for a long time. Uncomfortable, Talia feels a stifling anxiety. I know you'll handle everything. I just hope you... Kay is dead. We held the sea moon ceremony for him last Saturday. Rafayel gazes out the window, looking at something in the distance. Talia springs to her feet. What? Not every Lemurian survivor can wait. He turns his head away, his eyes glimmering. Perhaps he's shedding tears, but Talia isn't sure. It would be the only info he exchanged for the day, and now it's Talia's turn to fall silent. What exactly is right? She doesn't know anymore. They only have each other as family now, yet in this moment, all she can do is watch through the window as Rafayel leaves. Alone. Shit. People look out the cafe's window to see the street, while Lewis looks into the cafe from the outside. Under pressure from the public, the police hurriedly closed the case. They ruled illness as the cause of death, but Mr. Fallon's family paid Lewis several times the usual fee to continue the investigation. Lewis recognizes the woman inside the cafe. With her hair adorned with a gilded hairpin, she's Talia, a renowned soprano. He had previously been commissioned to investigate her. Despite being a celebrity, there's not much information about her personal life. She has no known relatives or lovers either. What a surprising turn of events. Mr. Mo seems more intriguing than he had initially thought. Lewis begins looking forward to a confrontation with him, and not just for the fee. As a detective, encountering a worthy adversary is always the most exhilarating part of the job. A mix of curiosity and admiration often transcends duty. As he muses, the man leaves the cafe, his demeanour as nonchalant as ever. Lewis's feet act faster than his mind. He hurriedly rushes after him, his hand instinctively reaching for his camera. He forgets that for a moment, as a private detective, remaining unseen is paramount. But as the man heads into an alley, he vanishes into the darkness. This is the second time that Lewis has missed him. Frustrated, he stops in his tracks. Suddenly, flames ignite from the end of the alley. Speak. Why are you following me? Rafayel knows. He's not stupid. This might be the day Lewis is closest to the truth. At a fancy restaurant, Lewis takes a seat directly across from Rafayel. If you answer a few questions, I promise I'll stop following you. How does that sound? Rafayel doesn't respond, which Lewis intercepts as consent. Do you like myths, Mr. Rafayel? My favorite is The Killer Song. How absurd. Realizing that there's no juicy gossip, the mother and daughter at the next table over refocus their attention on the corn chowder in front of them. But I've heard it was altered over time, Lewis murmurs. You must be familiar with the original story. Am I right, Mr. Rafayel? Rafayel eats slowly, a knife in one hand and a fork in the other. He cuts the meat on his plate with the elegance of the upper class. I have no interest in writing fairy tales. That's fine, Lewis says with a smile. Let me tell you the version I'm quite fond of. Legends say that the Siren was not a graceful woman, but a charming, handsome merman. Contrary to the stories in operas, he met a woman on the beach, but she took his tail and cut off his scales. At death's door, the Siren sang a mournful elegy. Ultimately, the woman on the shore passed away with a smile as he sang. Rafayel takes a spoonful of soup. Cool. It was all he has to say after hearing the story. Naturally, Lewis isn't content to leave it at that. I think this perversion is too plain, so I took the liberty of rewriting it. People lured by the Siren's ballad don't die peacefully. Their smiles are just a mask bestowed by the Siren. Instead, as they near death, they witness bizarre visions as they're plunged into endless torment. A blue pattern, representing the Siren, appears on their chest. It's a constant reminder of the sins they committed against the sea. What do you think? Very creative. Rafayel remains unimpressed. Thank you, Lewis says. But, Mr. Rafayel, do you really think the story is done? I added a bit. The Siren returns to the sea, believing everything has ended, but he discovers his underwater kingdom has turned into ruins soaked in blood. His people have either vanished, turned into a bloody foam, or were kidnapped. His homeland has turned into a silent, deserted city overnight. Oh, and as for the name of this underwater kingdom, Lemuria. Lewis enthusiastically narrates his adium of the story. At that moment, the chef serves them their meticulously plated final dish. A fish line amidst white rosemary. Rafayel doesn't speak, chewing slowly. He stops for a long while, seemingly savouring the flavour. What is it, Mr. Rafayel? There's bone. Lewis pulls out an old document and pushes it towards Rafayel. It reads, in 2034, an underwater city was unearthed in the ocean southeast of Lincoln City. It was confirmed to be the ruins of Lemuria, confirming Lemuria's existence. My story isn't just pure imagination. Any thoughts, Mr. Rafayel? Maybe you shouldn't be a private detective. Rafayel pushes the document back. His aloof facade seems impenetrable, but Lewis, still determined, tries one last time. There is a part I still haven't figured out, which is, when the Siren returns to the beach, how does he exact his revenge on those responsible for Lemuria's destruction? Lewis pulls out a hefty personnel file and places it on the table, all while observing Rafayel's expression. This time, Rafayel doesn't feign disinterest. He starts flipping through it. I think he'd first learn from them. Really? Lewis is taken aback. He fails to find any mistakes in this man. Other than Rafayel's smile, nothing seems to be amiss. Despite that, he's even more perplexed by Rafayel's response. He's got to study their wits and cruelty, you know. Rafayel stands up and departs, leaving only that statement behind. This is the third time. Lewis feels like he's gotten hold of something, yet still finds himself empty-handed. Shit! Gosh. The young boy sits alone in the middle of the coral reef, softly humming Siren's ballad. Waves lap the shores, staining it dark red. The colour blends almost seamlessly with the bloody setting sun in the distance. Those who deceived him have long since sailed away on their massive ships, laughing all the while. Siren's ballad isn't a song of revenge. It's an elegy sung for Lemuria. Raphael shakes the droplets of water from his hair. He feels like he's still underwater. The dying cries of his people echo in his ears, fizzing and crackling like a broken record that's being ground into pieces. Something in his chest howls, urging him to open his eyes and avenge them. Raphael wants to stand up, yet at the same time, his body is ensnared by the dark undertow. In darkness, the shadow of those he personally laid to rest emerge and drag him down, lower and lower into the depths. The bathtub's water is heavy. Really heavy. Torn between various forces, it's as if he's being split in two. Don't be scared. Amid the chaos, Raphael hears his mother's voice. He remembers last Saturday. He pushed Kay's wheelchair out of the hospital room all the way to the beach. Hang in there, I'll bring everyone home. But Kay shook his head, looking at the sea. I can't stand it anymore. They took away my scales and drew my blood over and over again. I'm no longer Lemurian. The doctor told him in private that Kay was on his last legs. He wasn't sure what had kept him through such agony until now. The boundless land and sea had once been the dream of many Lemurians, yet they couldn't have imagined it turning into a never-ending nightmare. The remaining Lemurians also appeared. They promised Kay they'd perform the seed moon ceremony, but Raphael still found it hard to let go. When the moon reached its highest point in the sky, they pushed Kay's body into the depths of the sea, watching him slowly become one with the water. In the crowd, Kay looked at Raphael and smiled. Raphael read his lips. Don't be scared, he had said. Raphael remembers a time from many, many years ago. Though it's a faded memory now, he hid behind his mother during a sea moon ceremony. His mother gently pulled him to her side, allowing him to witness the ritual. Don't be afraid, she softly murmured. The world gradually becomes clear before Raphael. He takes several deep breaths and then wraps himself in a bathrobe. Barefoot, he steps onto the carpet and reviews the documents Talia had given him. By the time a reluctant Lewis reaches the pier, Raphael had already boarded a ship set to depart from Verona. It's perfect weather for sailing, clear, bright. The port radio station continues its 24-hour broadcast of civilians calling in. This is the 176th call about that special anniversary performance. Even though it ended several days ago, countless audience members who experienced it in person still praise it as groundbreaking. It's an unforgettable memory. Even I, Joanna, regret not having gone to see it. Now, let's take the next call. After the call connects, the voice on the other end is sharp. Oh, that opera singer Mo, he's a real siren. His singing can seduce and kill. I'll follow him forever. The call sign abruptly cuts off. It sounds like an obsessed fan had lost their mind and is now descending into madness. The ship sails for many days on the vast blue ocean. And finally, a silvery white horizon appears. Raphael stands on deck, a suitcase with exquisite gold clasps at his feet. It draws frequent glances from other passengers. Dear passengers, our destination, Lincoln City, is just ahead. Trying to think of my best, voice for that. He takes out a stack of documents and sets them on fire. The ashes are instantly taken away by the sea breeze. And then he takes out a business card from his card holder and flips it between his fingers. Who knew the private detective's leads were, in some aspects, more comprehensive than his own? Alright, I'm getting off the ship now, he says. The seagull that had followed him all the way reluctantly leaves his shoulder. Approaching the beach, a sea breeze stirs. A photo from Raphael's breast pocket is blown away. But before it can go too far, a seagull snatches it with his beak and returns it to him. Raphael gazes at the girl in the photo, a small smile gracing his lips. He pets the seagull. I'll give you some tasty treats next time. Wow. Okay, that was a lot. Also, why is my Twitch chat still there? Jesus Christ. Okay, hear me out. That was a lot of depth. So that I'm assuming we were the siren. Like, Raphael was the siren and then we were? Or we stole his tail and scales and... I'm a little bit confused with that one, I'm not going to lie. But hopefully Raphael's story branch will explain a few things. So, thank you for watching that. I'm going to go and record that now. Expect the video to drop in the next few hours. See you very soon.